Hi guys, yesterday I talked to you about
squarely and totally against
the war in Syria and
forced labor, an act which denies the most elemental right of self-ownership,
and that we need to bring our troops home and stuff.
Slavery have
And
ever been
today, what I want
recognized
to
in
talk to you
core
about
opposites.
is
The libertarian, therefore, is totally opposed to slavery.
conscription,
There is one exception.
and basically the standing army, being opposed to the standing army,
against or enslaved
and the
their
military-industrial complex.
Such punishment in a
Basically,
libertarian
our
system
national
would
security
at least
is
involve
not
forcing the criminal to work in order
not
to pay
threatened
restitution to his
by
victim.
Syrians. They don't have
An academic question nowadays, one might object.
an aircraft
But is it
carrier
really?
to get any
For
aircraft
what
over
is
here
slavery
to
but
threaten the
A,
actual
forcing people to work at tasks the slave master wishes,
to
and
actually
B,
threaten the
paying
United
them
States.
either pure
So
subsistence
therefore, our national
or,
security is
at
not
any
threatened
rate,
other than
less than
us
the
being
slave
over
would have
there
accepted
and
voluntarily.
being in
In
on their
short,
homeland,
forced
in
labor
their
at
in
below
their
free market
territory.
wages. Thus,
Inside their
are we
arbitrary
really free of
line
slavery,
drawn on a map
involuntary
called a
servitude
border,
in present-day America?
and they are there to, and they're defending what they view themselves as defending their land, and so we need to get out of there. And not only when we get out of there, we can't leave there and bring our standing army back home, because then all they're gonna do, all the military-industrial complex is gonna do, is turn their guns onto the citizenry. That's usually what happens in a in a failing state, in a failing Weimar Republic, or any type of failing totalitarian dictatorship. Eventually what happens is the troops, the army ends up coming home and turns their weapons on its own citizenry, and usually becomes, that's what happens after a failing empire. And usually there's like a dictatorship or something else installed afterwards. And so, in order to avoid that, we need to abolish the standing army and the standing navy, period. We don't need to have an army or a navy, especially with the way our land is. We have two oceans. We have the best strategic placement on the map, I would say, anywhere in the world. There is no other country that has a better strategic dominance just by its just land area. Not even land area, but just by its natural geographical shape. We have two oceans, we have railroad, we have pretty high-tech weaponry and stuff, so we're pretty good. And nobody would really attack us.
This act of conscripting is
basically
just as much a deed of unjustifiable aggression.
And anyways, all the U.S. is just arbitrary lines drawn on the border. Like, seriously, like our line with Mexico. Like, California used to be part of Mexico. Actually, it used to be part of the Spanish. The Spanish is still on this. And before that, it was the Indians. I mean, and all this stuff was stolen at one point in time. And so, the only thing that we have, the only thing that's really real is property. Not private property, not public property. Public property and private property don't even exist. Private property is redundant. Public property is an oxymoron. Nothing is public that is property. All property is private. Anyways, yes. And if we are attacked,
why is it considered necessary
if another country decides to attack us, we can come together and repel such attack.
Every conceivable manner of goods.
We don't need
even the most necessary
to have a monopoly on taxation to fund weaponry. We don't need that, especially if we left people alone. People wouldn't even attack us. If we were more peaceful people, people would fuck with us.
Every day to perform dangerous services. Forest firefighters, rangers,
and also another problem with the military-industrial complex, and if we bring all the troops home and stuff, they'll have nothing to do other than pretty much build up weapons, and eventually there'll be a concentration of high-tech weaponry, and then there'll be out of this would grow over time. Say there wasn't any kind of violent means or whatever, but we still maintained like kind of a military type complex or whatever.
Generals or admirals.
Or military, like people that built weaponry or stuff like that, where we have provided through via the state. It'll eventually end up to where there's a concentration of power and weaponry in a small hands, and then that small hands can turn around and turn their guns and weaponry, high-tech weaponry, on their fellow citizens and enslave them that way. So that's another problem with a standing army. If you go back in history and you look at Rome, Caesar had the loyalty of the army, and what he did was he crossed the Rubicon. And when Rome had a rule that all generals couldn't, none of the generals could bring their troops into Rome. There was basically an arbitrary line, which was the Rubicon River. This little river in Italy that basically said this is the border of Rome, and you can't bring your army past this. And basically, Caesar ended up, Julius Caesar that is, ended up marching his army across the Rubicon and he became like the first dictator.
To put every man on notice that if he becomes a physician, he will be sure to be drafted, and at a specially late age. Once again, the armed forces' need for doctors could easily be satisfied if the government were willing to pay physicians the market salary.
I oppose Syria.
Plus enough to compensate them for
we shouldn't be when we don't know.
If the government wishes,
we really don't know who did it. Supposedly there's evidence that there was chemical weapons used.
Are doctors lower forms of humanity?
We don't know who used it right now. But this is not the first time that chemical weapons have been used. Before, there's been times where the Syrian rebels have used chemical weapons, and the UN inspectors, and I want to say Russian and Chinese inspectors also came back with like crude-made, like homemade rocket system or whatever. So it wasn't industrial, it wasn't a militarized type delivery system, propulsion propulsion system, and then also the fuel wasn't also cut right, or industrially cut or whatever, which would make it more powerful or something. So we know we know for sure that the rebels have once used chemical weapons, and the Syrian government may not have used chemical weapons. But my thing is there have been, up until now, there's been 100,000 killed or so in this conflict, in this civil war, and what makes this chemical attack, or even attack period, where only like about 1,000, 1,500 people or so, which is still atrocious, it's abhorrent, it's terrible, died. But what makes this attack different than the 100,000 or so that died already up until now?
His body continues.
That secondly, we're broke, we can't afford it. Thirdly, our national security interest. What is our national security interest? Why are we over there? I mean, what's the point of this? What's the objective? Fourthly, how does this even affect our national security? Syria can't hurt us. The only way they can hurt us is because we're over there and we're within their striking range. They can't strike us here in America. They can only strike us over there in the Middle East. So why are we even fucking with them? Like this, they don't affect us. Like,
he will lose pension.
And fifthly, how long are we going to be the world's policeman? I mean, how long are we going to something going on in the world that America has to fucking intervene and be the fucking the Batman fucking savior of the world and shit. I mean, what's going on?
That needs this sort of coercive sanction
And
that
so,
other jobs do not
and finally,
setting aside
we need to abolish
such occupations as medicine,
the state
agriculture, and transportation,
and all state-controlled power.
Let us consider comparable
The
defense
state
occupation in civilian life.
basically allows
Surely the police
monopoly power, which the market doesn't afford ever, because people have preferences and different tastes and different
years of enlistment. In addition to demanding
different choices that they want to make, and by and everybody's unique and individual, and all these different individuals will not want the same different thing, the same thing. You may like vanilla, I may like chocolate, or I may like fucking butterscotch, or fucking cookies and cream, or mint and chip. I mean, not everybody likes the same ice cream. Not everybody likes the same soda. Not everybody likes like Coke. Not everybody likes Pepsi. Not everybody likes Sprite or Dr. Pepper or Sunkist or any other flavor. I mean, people like the more choices you have, the less concentration of power and wealth there is. The least amount of choices allows for price inflation, because power concentration, because you have a limited number of choices. So if you want this, you gotta buy from a certain brand, and then by having a small limited number of choice, that allows them to have monopoly power to adjust prices. They can raise prices higher and basically rip off the customer. So in order to protect the customer, we need to eliminate all monopoly power, and monopoly power is not possible without state power, and state power is not possible without weapons. The use of force, coercion, which is basically holding a gun to somebody's head and taxing them, or forcing them to buy a product, or forcing them to buy insurance, as Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act as it's known as, or also
in the course of his trenchant and prophetic
the power to tax or the power to enslave somebody.
The Virginia ratifying convention, Patrick
so yes, we need to bring our troops home, and then not only bring the troops home, disband the army and navy.
an army and by their control over the